Hi guys, it's Beth and welcome back to my channel, and today is my update for Use It Up 2020 challenge for September. So the point of this challenge is for me to use up items from my stash, different anything, like it can be embellishments, it can be paper, it can be stickers, it can be I don't know, ephemera, ribbon, things to alter, things like that. But the point is just to get me to focus on using up items from my stash and to be mindful about it. So at the beginning of the month, I kind of pick out items that I'd like to try and use up, and then we'll work on that throughout the month. This is a challenge that anyone can participate in. It is not a formal collaboration. So there are a handful of people throughout the year who have played along with it. Paige over at Stamp Girl here on YouTube has been pretty consistent, playing along every month, and then there are also some that are on Instagram that have been playing along as well here and there. So if you would like to play along, you can post a video here on YouTube or pictures on Instagram, or I have a new Facebook group that's called Crafting with Bourbon Creek. I will include a link to that Facebook group down below, and you can join us, and you can also post some pictures there. And the post for Use It Up, I usually just ask you post it on the 28th of the month. If you would like to follow along with others who've played along, or just with my progress on this challenge, you can just search the hashtag Use It Up 2020 here on YouTube or on Instagram as well. So anyway, I feel like I had a pretty good Use It Up month. For September, I focused on Halloween projects, and I do have a couple of items that I used up that were Christmas themed for my 10 on the 10th cards as well. So this month I used up 4 sticker sheets and a pack of tags, 2 packs of rub-ons, and then a whole bunch of random stickers, ephemera, embellishments, things like that. I will post pictures, and paper. So I will post pictures of what I chose to try and use up at the beginning of the month. I pulled out some Halloween paper and scraps, and then just some Halloween, like I just showed you, Halloween stickers and embellishments. And then I ended up adding to the Halloween paper scraps throughout the month as I did some other projects. So I really pushed to use those up and to use up cardstock scraps related to that as well, and you'll see that as I go through my projects. But in the picture you saw a bag of Halloween embellishments, and I did not use them all up, but I did make a good dent in that collection. And there were a whole bunch more that I used just beyond these, because I also used some ephemera that were just loose in the bag. So that is what I used up, and now I'll show you what I made. So some of these you've already seen. These were my 10 on the 10th Christmas cards that I posted earlier in the month. And for these, I used up some Scrapping for Less paper, one of their new Christmas lines. But then I also focused on using up these tags that I had found at Michael's, and they're gift tags, but I just used them as embellishments on my card. And so I had probably most of the pack left. I think they were maybe 12, and I had 8. Is that right? 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, yeah. 8 of them left. And so I used them up as the main embellishment on my 10 on the 10th Christmas cards. And then also for 10 on the 10th, I finished off some Doodles cardstock stickers that said Merry Christmas. And I had these left from a recent Flavor of the Month card kit from Scrapping for Less. I had these left over. I had 2 of them left over, and so I decided to go ahead and use them up on here as well. So I finished off that sticker sheet with these 2 cards. And this one, it's really hard to see on camera, but it does show up better in person. I probably should have backed it on something, but that's okay. So next, where do I want to start? This is Pinkaboo pad project. I have also, my pad project, my 12 by 12 pad project for September was the Pinkaboo paper pad. And so I did 2 personal scrapbook pages with it and used up the last of these word stickers from Leaving Prints. They were pastel, which for the most part would be hard to use for Halloween, but not if you're using the pastel Pinkaboo pad. So I decided to go ahead and use them up with this. And all I did was a grouping down here in the bottom corner and on both pages. So I just picked 2 different ones for each page, and that used up that sticker sheet. And next, I think I'm going to focus on the rub-ons, because I had 2 packs of the rub-ons. One was, I don't even know who it was. There was no company information left on it. And then the other one was from Making Memories, and it was called Spooky Alley. And I swore that these were glow in the dark. Like, it doesn't tell you anywhere on here, and these are from 2009. Oh, just glitter, I guess, not glow in the dark. Okay, so yeah, they were just glitter rub-ons, I guess. But there was a certain part of it that looked like it might glow in the dark because of the color of like yellowish white that it was. So this was a random rub-on from the kind of unknown rub-on sheet. And I made a little embellishment. I had these pumpkins left from some fall cards I had made last year. And I had already colored them up with some orange ink, orange and brown ink, just kind of, used a ink sponge and then kind of colored them up. And then I just kind of glued them together in a little grouping, and then added the rub-on that says "In Search of the Perfect Pumpkin" on the middle one. And so I just figured that would be a good embellishment for a pumpkin patch layout sometime in the future. And as far as most of these cards show the Making Memories glitter rub-ons, this was a card I did when I was finishing off my scraps, my random Halloween scraps. And so I just did a strip card and added my printed sentiment here, and then added I had 2 little candy corn rub-ons left. And so I just added those on to the black piece there to get those used up. This is a card, there are several cards in here that I showed in my Smash That Small Paper Pad video a few days ago. Here were 2 of the stars that were in the Making Memories rub-on sheet. This one I just used up the big haunted house rub-on. And then this also used 2 parts of a cat border strip that I will also show later that I used up. I just cut out 2 of the little cat heads to use as embellishments on that card. This one, I took one of those random rub-ons and added it to the inside of this little cut apart from my, I don't remember what that paper pad was, from Recollections, Mischief, I don't know. It's my Smash That Small Pad, and this was just a cut apart, and so I added Halloween is a Real Treat rub-on onto that one as my sentiment. This glitter pumpkin is from the Making Memories rub-on sheet. Just use that as my main embellishment. Same with this one. This witch was part of the Making Memories glitter rub-on sheet, and it's this part that I thought might have glowed in the dark at one point, but I couldn't make it glow, so guess it was just glitter. And then Wishing You a Spooky Halloween was one of the random rub-ons. And I was impressed that I know the Making Memory ones say they were from 2009, and the random ones I really don't know, but they all went on like really well. This one was the only one that you can kind of see like the rub-on bits around it, which is kind of weird. But the glitter ones were pretty thick, but they rubbed on really easily, so I was very pleased. So here I used 2 rub-ons, the 31 and the Crow were both from the Making Memories rub-on sheet. This one, I just used the bat and 2 stars from the Making Memories Rub-On. Here's another jack-o'-lantern from the Making Memories sheet. And then I did a whole bunch of hot cocoa packets. So when I started using up my scraps, I realized that there were a couple scraps big enough that I could get some hot cocoa packets out of it. We are doing one in-person craft show that I know of so far in the fall, and it was originally scheduled the weekend before Thanksgiving indoors. They have rescheduled it for October 10th outdoors. So I needed to kind of get some Halloween items made up for that craft show. So I started using scraps to make up some hot cocoa packets, and then I ended up pulling out some random sheets of paper from my stash. So that also counts for my use it up. I pulled out some random sheets and made a bunch of hot cocoa packets, and then also focused on using up the scraps from those sheets as well. So here are some that I used that used up the paper from my stash, and then like this one uses some rub-ons. I just added this No Tricks Just treats I printed from my silhouette, and then added some of the Making Memories rub-ons to it. And this is just a number 10 business size envelope cut down in half. Here, this used up some of the random paper, and then I took 2 of the Making Memories rub-ons and grouped them together to make this little, like the witch's legs and the fright were kind of like a little embellishment grouping. And then this envelope is an envelope, I found a whole bunch of them on clearance at one point, and they are 5 by 10 inches in total, so cut in half, they're about 5 by 5. This is just another one that used up 2 Making Memories rub-ons. I had the little crossbones here, and then I gave him a lollipop just to make him a little less menacing. And then a witch's hat, a felt witch's hat embellishment that was in my stash. It was kind of one of those random embellishments that I had. So now he's a happy little crossbones with a lollipop and a witch's hat. This one, again, just used one of my printed sentiments and a Making Memories rub-on. And then these use some random stickers in my stash. And I don't know where I think I inherited them from my aunt years ago. She cleaned out her stash because I don't remember buying these. And they were just like random bits, like they weren't on a sticker sheet. So this is another one of those 5 by 10 inch envelopes that I made a pocket out of. And then these were 2 different pumpkins that I just grouped together on the front to make my focal point. And then this cute little girl that's dressed as a pumpkin, she was an individual sticker, and so I just kind of put her on some white cardstock because it was a clear sticker. So I just put her on white cardstock and then made her my focal point. And then this used up also a little random strip, Halloween strip that was left in my scrap stash. So that was all of the rub-ons. And one thing about the Making Memories rub-ons is technically I could use this as something, and then they give you this that you could always cut out and use as a sentiment as well. So next, and I'm kind of grouping cards and other projects together by what they used. So that's why I'm kind of jumping back and forth between the different projects. But this is a card that I used 2 different pieces of scrap paper that I had left from my hot cocoa packets. And then this is that card, the cat border strip that I just trimmed around, like made sure I trimmed around the outline of the face so that both ends were rounded. And then Happy Halloween was just a stamped sentiment that I had in my stash, and I just slid it up underneath the border strip here and then rounded the bottom corners. And on the insides of the cards I also have scraps too that helped me use up the last bits. Here I finished off the cat border, and this is cute little cat paper, and this was 2 different pieces, and so I covered where they met on the back side with just another strip, border strip that was left in my stash, and then on the front I covered up where they meet with the cat border. Black cat was something I fussy cut out of another sheet of Halloween paper, and then just added the sentiment Happy Meowween. And then there were a bunch of random ephemera pieces that had come out of a kit that I'd gotten years and years ago. And again, they were more on like the pastelish side, and they weren't really my style anymore. And so, but I held on to them, and so I finally found a way to use them up, or just finally decided to go ahead and use them up. So there's this little journal spot with the witch on it, and I decided to stamp Happy Halloween on it. And then the orange doesn't necessarily tie in, but the purple kind of ties in with some of the purples on the card. But here I just took a bunch of strips that I had left and grouped them together like in a kind of a grid pattern on some white cardstock. And then I had a smaller piece of orange cardstock that was big enough to make some kind of card mat out of. So I used that, and then took some black strips that I had left laying on my desk. And then this was a stamp and die that I had already had like stamped and cut out in my stash. And so I just added that to the bottom, the cat with the pumpkin to go along with the witch. Here are some more hot cocoa packets, and this used up some 8x8 pattern paper that I don't know if it was part of a calendar kit at some point or not, but there were 2 sheets of each pattern, and I think maybe I inherited them too. I didn't have like a whole set, I just had like some random pieces, but I did have 2 of this orange Halloween background. And so it's kind of cool. There's like some glitter accents on there, like for the spider web. So I added that to my number 10 business envelope that I cut in half to use as my pocket. And then these are 2 of those random ephemera pieces that I had left from a kit, and they had glitter on them as well. And the colors kind of tied in with what was on the paper. And then just added a Happy Halloween sentiment down here. And I kind of grouped them so that the spider looked like it was getting ready to crawl on the pumpkin. And same thing on this one. I had like a scared jack-o'-lantern, and so I had the spider, like I made sure to place him so that he's like, oh, the spider's gonna get me. Whoop, not focusing. There we go. So this was just the other sheet of that paper, and 8x8 works out nicely because I got two, I guess I got 1 pocket out of each sheet. But here's another one of those random ephemera pieces that I just added, the bat that I just added up there with my sentiment. This was another piece of that paper, that 8x8 paper that I had. And so here I just kind of created a little grouping with 3 of the ephemera pieces. The ghost, the web, and the cat were all 3 separate pieces. And then I took my Happy Halloween sentiment that was already on a circle and added it to the center of the web. And then these I just showed in my Stick Your Side of Crafting collab video yesterday. And this was just a random sticker sheet that I had left in my stash. I don't even know who it was from. And they've been in my stash long enough that they weren't sticking great. So I had to add adhesive to the back of them. But I just thought the colors coordinated really well with like these spooky eyes paper. And so I just kind of added 3 of them here to a grid. It worked out perfectly. I had this long skinny one and then these other 2 that matched up perfectly. So I just backed them on some white cardstock and created a grid with that one. Here's 3 that I just grouped together straight on my pocket. And then this one I created another grid. I took 2 of the stickers, backed them on white, stamped my Happy Halloween sentiment, and then backed the whole thing on black. And then I realized I needed to break it up a little bit more. So this is just a bit from a Love from Lizzie, one of those Love from Lizzie peel-off strip sheets. And so that was that sticker sheet. So this is kind of random bits, mainly focusing on the paper that I used up. But this is Sunday Sketch 090113. And so this is one I made at the end, was just trying to use up. I kept thinking that I was done, like I was just going to call it done. But then I was like, oh, there's still a whole bunch of little scraps left. So I made this one. I cut mine to be like 1 1/8 inches wide by 1 1/4 inches long, and that seems to fit the card front pretty well. And then I was 1 shy, so I brought in a scrap of orange cardstock and then added this little pumpkin, this jack-o'-lantern, which was a stamp and die combo piece that I had already had prepped in my stash. And then a Happy Halloween puffy sticker down here at the bottom. This is a sketch from Robin's craft room. And I used up, this was the last of the 8x8 paper, like the green pattern. I had 2 bits left. And so and they were the perfect size to fit on here. So this one is actually on some purple patterned paper, and I just used it as my card base. It was already in I have like a drawer full of card bases and card mats that I have folded or cut and didn't use yet, and so I just keep them in there. And this was left, I had been trying to use up some of this solid paper, and I thought, well, it might make some good card bases since it is solid and then white on the inside. So anyway, I just took some of that green paper, added it here to the bottom, and then this little witch and moon and the bats was also, it's that stamp and die set that I have, and I had already cut it out and had it in my stash. This is a stamped sentiment that I fussy cut around, and then I also added a white fishtail up here because I was trying to kind of bring in the white, make it flow through the card, and then I felt like it needed something else yet, so I just took some of the black scraps that I had sitting on my table and punched some circles to pepper around there. Same layout, and I used some more of that green paper. This orange, like notebook lined paper, was also one of those 8x8 sheets, and so I used it for my card mat. And then Happy Halloween, I already had the sentiment printed out and punched into a circle. And then Spooky, I was trying to use it up, so I just added it as the element up here. Again, just trying to make the card balance a little bit better. And then at the end, again, I came back and added some of these purple punched circles to use up some of the scraps on my desk. And then I did use a piece of that orange notebook paper on the inside to write a message. This cute little picture, did you guys ever, well, and they're still around, so maybe you still have them, those little desk calendars where it's like a page a day, and, you know, it has different pictures or different sayings or quotes or something on it, and you tear it off and you go to the next day. Well, I've had some in the past that were dog calendars, and if they were really cute, or regardless of what the calendar was, if it was a cute picture, I saved it. And so this has been in my stash for a while, but it's these cute little basset hounds. And one's got a little purple and orange, looks like it's got a Halloween hat, but it almost looks like one of those jester neck things that they wear. But I just thought that was so cute. So I decided to go ahead and use it up. So I took 2 scraps, like there was a black scrap and then a purple scrap, and kind of added those to the top and bottom of my card, and then trimmed my calendar picture so that it would fit with a little white border left on my card, and then added one of the Happy Halloween puppy stickers that I had. And I was so close to using up these, but I didn't quite make it. Here I have a Halloween pattern scrap, and then I pulled out just a random orange pattern scrap from my stash as well. I decided to branch out a little bit from the Halloween and also pull in some of like just non-Halloween papers, pattern papers that coordinated. Helped me kind of use up some other scraps as well. And I covered the seam here with, it's like a white, I made my own like strips, kind of like based off the Love from Lizzie strips. I used white scrap vinyl, and made a vinyl strip, and so I just added it to cover the seam here. This glitter jack-o'-lantern was just a random piece of ephemera from my stash, and then I have my sentiment, Happy Halloween. This one uses a bunch of paper scraps that I just grouped together, and then this was originally it was like a vinyl sticker that someone had given me, and I had used the cat, but I had saved the outline for some reason, and so I decided to go ahead and use it, and then I just added the purple paper behind it so that the cat would stand out, and then I just have my sentiment stamped right there. This one used up a couple different scraps of paper, a clear sticker, and then some punch stars that were already in my stash. This one used the these little pea ink, pumpkin, like jack-o'-lantern circles. Use some scrap paper, scrap orange paper. This is actually 2 pieces of black cardstock pieced together with a strip of candy corn pattern covering the seam there on the left side. And then one of the Happy Halloween puffy stickers. And I just showed this in my Stick Your Side of Crafting video as well. But the next 2 use my favorite sketch, Operation Ride Home, sketch number 154. And again, use the last of the jack-o'-lantern sticker and then a bunch of the pattern paper scraps. Stamped my sentiment on some of that leftover orange lined paper from the 8x8 sheets. Here I didn't even add anything in the center because all 4 squares had pretty busy patterns. And then I used the strip down here of that orange lined paper and stamped my sentiment on there. This was another one of those strip scrap cards that I made, and I just realized I put it on upside down because the cats are upside down. Oops. Another sentiment that I printed from my silhouette. And then these 2 pieces of candy corn I fussy cut out of some of this candy pattern paper. It was like a little bit left that had 2 full pieces of candy corn left on there. So decided to fussy cut those out and use those as embellishments. This just used up a bunch of paper scraps. These are 2 pieces of orange cardstock pieced together, covered the seam with another strip. These were all about the same size, so I grouped them together in a grid. And then Trick or Treat is something I had fussy cut, words I had fussy cut out of another piece of Halloween paper. And then we're almost done. The last few projects are using up pattern paper for hot cocoa packets. So this was some double-sided paper. And I don't remember who it's by. I don't know if I still had the strip on it or not. But I just cut them into like 4.5 by 8-inch pieces and then folded it up. And I've showed you guys this before in some other videos recently. Folded it up and added a little bit of glue here to make a hot cocoa packet. And then this little skull is fussy cut out from like a scrap of, the inside pattern, and then just added this fun little googly-eyed foam ghost that I think came from Michael's. So same thing on this one. I just used 2 of the little skulls this time and then another fun little ghost. This was focusing on using up the paper. This is just an standard business number 10 business envelope, and then I used 2 foam stickers to create a little scene on the front for the witch. And then these are all pretty simple. I used those 5 by 10-inch envelopes that I had, and so it created a bigger pocket. So I just used pattern paper, and then this was a sentiment that I printed for my silhouette, and I did that with you guys when I did my little tutorial on how I do that. So I have 4 of those. So I used up tons of random Halloween pattern paper and scraps from my stash, used up a whole bunch of Halloween embellishments, the stickers, ephemera, and rub-ons, and I also got a lot of cards made this month. So again, a good use it up month. If you'd like to follow those who have been playing along or my progress, you can search #UseItUp2020 here on YouTube or on social media. And again, if you would like to play along, you can jump in and join me at any time. Just be sure to use that hashtag #UseItUp2020 and tag me, so that helps me find you as well. But thank you guys so much for your time. Sorry this got a little long, had a lot to share, but I hope you guys are all having a crafty day and finding some way to use up some items from your stash.